Peace and blessings to you wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the channel. My name is Javez Khan. Hope you're having a wonderful, blessed day. My thoughts and prayers are with you. Welcome to my journey in Bradford. And currently I am walking down Lum Lane, which is on the corner of Grosvenor Road in Bradford 8. So in the 70s, particularly around about 1975, when I was around about 6 years old, I have great memories of this place, but this particular spot is very, very, very special, and I will tell you why. Let the car go past as it makes its noise. And this junction and this spot is very special because it was a moment that changed our lives. Because in 1977 in Yugoslavia, when we were going to Pakistan by road, we were involved in a major accident and two of my brothers lost their lives. I was with them at the time, and I will tell you more about that at some other stage. But this particular spot here, so after the accident, I just look around before I cross the road. So after the accident, we came back to Bradford in 1980, and myself and my dad, we were living in and mum too, God bless their souls. We were living in rented accommodation, and dad was just looking for work, and we were walking down the road here, and as we were about to cross the road, Saeed Kakaji beeped his horn. He was driving his van, he beeped his horn and he stopped us, and it's the first time he had seen dad after the accident, because we had been in Pakistan. And I remember the words he said, Wasl Khan brother, tu kite pe hue ho, tabiyat theek hai, khairiyat ya aap beh gadi ch, which translates roughly as, okay, is that you, how are you, come and sit in the car, where are you going? And we were walking towards the city centre, and dad had a chat with him, said, look, we've just come back to Bradford, we're in rented accommodation, and we're off to do a few things in the city centre. As soon as he said that, and dad explained that to him, he said, if you carry on walking another half a mile down the road and you turn left onto Darfield Street, I've just bought a house, it's completely derelict. Okay, why don't you just take the keys and just move in? The house is yours. Imagine the trust, the integrity, the oneness, their friendship. Not only them, but many, many other elders as well, where their word was their honor. They lived to high values. They lived to earning what I call a halal living, earning their money ethically, looking after one another, going through troubles together. This is something that was just normal to them. Shall I say those things again? Being honest, being integral, looking after one another, supporting one another, helping each other in so many different ways. And after Saeed Kakaji said that, I think dad's words were that I'm just standing on my feet, I haven't got the money to buy a house. And Saeed Kakaji's reply was, did I ask you for any money? I said to you, just get the keys, go to the house is yours. So we carried on walking down Lum Lane. These houses appeared, I think, in the late 80s, early 90s. At that time, I think this was Clarendon Place. And after the Housing Association rebuilt the place, it's now called Clarendon Court. So could you just imagine that conversation as a young person listening to that conversation when I think about it now, that how just that moment, you know, God sometimes brings people together for a reason. We happened to be walking at that time, he happened to be driving at that time, and there was something that was written in the stars for our lives to change at that moment in time. But Lum Lane now is very different. As you can see, it's a completely different landscape to how it would have been at that time. the current site of the Drummond Mill, which was unfortunately brought down by a fire some years ago. And as you can see, it's very, very, very different on Lum Lane. The shops now are very different. However, established in 1964, the very, very famous sweet restaurant, sweet centre, can't even speak English anymore. The sweet centre and restaurant still stands strong. It's part of the furniture on Lum Lane now. Very famous and currently run by Waqar Mughal, who may be the third or fourth generation of the family that continue to run the establishment. So back to the conversation of Saeed Kakaji in the house. So we carried on walking down Lum Lane. We did whatever we had to do in the city centre, and then we came back home. So we were in rented accommodation in Westbourne Road in Bradford. So we'd gone around a full circle. The bottom part of Westbourne Road at that time had been completely flattened. New developments were taking place, and there was about 4 or 5 houses that were still remaining at the top. And Babu Kakaji, who currently owns the Kamra Plaza out in Pakistan, it was his house. He was a very close friend of Dad's. So we went home. Mum and Dad had a conversation. They'd picked up the keys by now, and we went to have a look at the house. The house itself needed massive renovation work. It was just boarded out basically. There was no gas fires. Everything was run by coal. There wasn't a kitchen of any sort. There was dust and crap everywhere really. However, they decided that this would be their place. So just sidetracking slightly, the UK Money Exchange, which is now run by Faisal Musaddiq, my friends in Haq Nawaz Lala's family. This used to be a main headquarters, a place for thousands of people to send their money to Pakistan. It was more of a better kind of guest house as well, where people would book the tickets to go to Pakistan. A few doors away, now Khansbury, the financial accountants and advisors, was Anwar Khan Lala's place from Vaisa. Again, a shop, a grocery, a butchery that was run for many years, and it became established in the community as a main hub for so many people. And now if you're watching Hafiz, Shahid, Sajid, Rashid and anybody else that I may have forgotten in the family as well, your place. And a couple of doors away, okay, the mini market. Haji Anwar Khan Kakaji, God bless his soul, Farhad Lala, general groceries, butchers, meeting place. I remember elders. The elders of Hanover Square using it as a meeting hub. Distinct memories of Muhammad Umar Kakaji, who's a teacher from Malawi, great uncle of the family as well, God bless his soul. Who else? Harun Lala Khuday Diubakhi, Ibn Amin Lala Khuday Diubakhi, Shokat Lala Khuday Diubakhi, Harun Lala Khuday Diubakhi. I just remember them, and all others as well, right? Okay, Taj Kakaji, all the elders from Hanover Square, just using this as a hub of the community. And as kids coming here and picking up all the little things that we needed to pick up. And Airlines House, okay, Skyfly, another piece of sort of like Manningham and Bradford's history, and by Mazhar and by Shahid and other members of the family currently run the establishment. Alhamdulillah, I think I've been to Umrah with these guys about 7 or 8 times, or maybe more. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept those Umrahs and Hajj as well. It's not of our own will and goodness or money that we go to these places. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will only accept us when He accepts us, and we can visit these places of Makkah and Medina. And housing associations built these houses some years ago, and it's affectionately known as Sillet Close. And next to Sillet Close is the beautiful Peel Square, built in 1851. which I think would be Victorian times. And on the opposite side of the square is the one and only Lum Lane Park, or sometimes known as Infirmary Fields, where as a nipper I remember the fun fair and some volleyball tournaments and occasional football tournaments, and the Perseverance pub, which I'll talk less about, having football tournaments here in the summer. So I've talked about life-changing moments. So which life-changing moments are distinct to you? What happened? When did it happen? How did it happen? What happened? What decision did you make? Okay, what caused the decision to be made for your life to change? Was it somebody close in your life that said something? Was it something in society that made you think in a slightly different way? How do you think now? What gets you out of bed right now? What really motivates you to do things? So that is something, and the moment and that conversation with Saeed Kakaji was something that changed our lives, and we ended up here, Darfield Street. So as you can see, an old cobbled road. By the way, these stones are very expensive. And how many of you remember this place? Dr. Saeed, God bless his soul, his surgery. A gentleman who helped thousands of people from Pakistan and India and Bangladesh and the South Asian community in general. He had medical experience, and I'll just leave that at that, but he was a thought leader and wanted to help anyone and everyone, from simply writing letters, because at that time many people couldn't read and write as well, from writing letters in Urdu, from writing letters in English, doing their applications, making sure that they're medically looked after, making sure that they had their hospital appointments, and so on and so forth. But a real famous point, Dr. Saeed's surgery. And if you're watching Aki, your old house on the corner. And mashallah, this was all derelict land at one point, but now it's Allah's house, the masjid house, simply beautiful, mashallah, mashallah. And in the 80s we would spend hours and hours and hours and hours playing football in this area. And now, like many people's minds, it's locked. Haha, that was a joke, laugh. So Darfield Street consisted of only a few houses. So now the family of the Atak Sweet Centre, Nader Khan Kakaji, God bless his soul, they were on the corner house there. Next door, at number 32, some years later, Faisal from Wesa, Vasal Lala Khudedi Ubakhi, their family came sometime later, and this place here. Number 34 would become our little palace. So could you imagine moving into a house where it was simply wooden floors, no beds, no heating, no amenities, electric was semi-dangerous. However, somebody gave you an opportunity to do something, to make a change. And also, when we were buying the place, that there was no mention of money, as a carvings behind me. There was no mention of money. It was simply all done on trust. So Saeed Kakaji, if you're watching, and if other members of the family are watching, I think of these things all of the time. I will never forget how that moment changed our lives, changed the lives of my children, changed the lives of many other generations as well, and it's massive thank you to you. So look, wherever you are in the world, hope you've enjoyed the video. My little walk continues, and my story continues as well. Please do comment, please do share, please do like the video as well, and if there's anything you want me to talk about, do let me know. Have a wonderful, blessed day.